In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 3 things that I think are the most important to bear in mind when you jump into a relationship. Now, the first one is that you don't even jump into a relationship until you meet someone who hits all of the different criteria that you would deem adequate to jump into a relationship with. Now, as an example, if you want someone who's intelligent, who works out, who is ambitious, then you don't get into a relationship with someone who is not the 3 things that you listed out. A big reason that relationships end today is people are simply incompatible, right? And why do people jump into a relationship with someone who is incompatible with them? Mainly this happens because one of the people were needy for a relationship. Now, when someone is needy for a relationship, they are more likely to settle for a relationship. If you think about it, if you are very hungry, right, you are more likely to go eat food that is less palatable to you than food that you would prefer. Because you're hungry, you have lower standards. Because you're needy, you have lower standards and you settle. And you go for someone who you ordinarily would not go for. Okay, so the first thing is to have clear standards, and you do not jump into a relationship with someone unless they meet your standards. This is high value. Okay, high value people know what they want from someone, and they do not settle for someone who does not meet their requirements. Having standards in itself is high value, right? Because you'd be surprised, a lot of people just go purely based on attraction. They're attracted to someone, they can kind of bear to be around them, so they jump into a relationship with them. You're not going to be like that, because again, to attract the best possible partner, you need to be as high value as possible. And high value people have standards. They do not just jump into a relationship with someone based on looks. Looks fade. You can wake up next to the best looking person every morning, right? It will get old. Trust me. Novelty wears off with anything that had luxury at one point in time. If you do this very often, or you see this person very often, the novelty of them being very good looking wears off. So have standards outside of the physical boundaries. Number 2 is to watch your investment. Okay, so many people at the early stages of their relationship, they're in a honeymoon phase, right? They're in love, and the person is ticking all the right boxes. You're going on adventures together, you're exploring each other's emotions, and what you do is you invest so much of your emotions, of your time, right? And although investing with the right person is not a bad thing, I think regardless of whether the person is correct or they end up being bad, you should watch your level of investment, right? Let me give you an analogy to describe this. If you're at an arcade and you are putting coins into one of those arcade machines where you put coins into and eventually a prize will slide out, the more coins that you put into this arcade machine, the less likely you are to leave if it's going bad, and the less likely you are to leave if something else better presents itself. What I specifically mean by this is because you've put so many coins into this machine and you've been there for 30 or 40 minutes, if the machine suddenly starts breaking, or you think something's wrong with the machine, and there's much better machines you could be going to, you're going to stay with that machine. You're going to stay with that machine because you've invested so much into it, right? And regardless of what happens to that machine, you're going to stay there until you get your prize, because the more you invest in it, the more likely you are to stay there through the hardships. Now, although this sounds cute, this is bad, because if someone is treating you badly and your level of investment is very high, you are going to stay with them through this. And the longer that you stay with them as they treat you badly, the more tolerant you are of it in the long run. You think to yourself, well, I've already dealt with this in the past. Hopefully they can get better. Hopefully I can make them better. While we're on this topic, a little side note. I've seen a lot of people, when you're in a relationship with a guy who's treating you badly, or even a girl that's treating you badly, right? You think that you can be the one to change this person. You know that in all their past relationships, they've treated people a similar way, but you think for some reason you're going to be the one to tame them. You're going to be the one to change them, because that's not just how they are in a relationship to you. There is underlying things going on in their brain that is causing them to treat you this way in a relationship. What you need to do is understand that you're not going to be the person to change how this person subliminally thinks. The last one is a very important one I see too, right? So I advise people to be on their purpose, be on their grind, have ambitions, go to the gym, have hobbies that you're focusing on. Something that I notice is that when people are getting into relationships, they seem to stop everything they've done in order to get into the relationship. So all the hobbies and all the classes that you were going to in order to attract your partner in the first place, you stop doing when you're with your partner. And your partner will probably make you feel like this is okay, right? They'll be like, oh, you don't need to go to your salsa class today. That's fine, just forget it, spend time with me, okay? These, whether you realize it or not, this is a subliminal test. Guys, the most attractive quality in people is if they stick to their purpose and stick to their hobbies regardless of how in love they are, right? Because this shows that you're on a path. Yeah, you can have someone in the driver's seat with you when you're on your path driving down, but you do not stop the car and change your path based on the person who is in the passenger seat with you. You continue down your path, you continue with your purpose regardless of who is in the car with you. This is attractive. They will try to take you, of course, not maliciously. They want to spend time with you and they genuinely mean that. But you need to remember that with what you're learning now, you know better than what they are subconsciously asking for. They're subconsciously asking for you to spend time with them, to give them attention, which is fine. But you do not do that over your purpose, over your hobbies, right? Because if you stay on this path, that is what you've done to attract them. They were attracted to the person who was on their purpose, who had hobbies. So why are you now going to change this when you're in a relationship with them? Even if they ask you, remember, they are asking you, but they don't maliciously mean it, but they will find you more attractive if you actually still go to your hobbies and still go to your purpose and then spend time with them on the side. Okay, do not change who you are once you're in a relationship. Exactly what you've done to get them is exactly what you do to keep them.